Shalom Israel, Elder Stephen here, and I got another class for you. Tonight we're going to discuss strangers. What is the Bible talking about when it mentions strangers? Is it talking about Jews and Gentiles, or is it using the term Greek to describe the northern kingdom Israelites? Now, strangers are people who don't believe in the doctrine of the Most High. We're going to explain it to you. Just keep watching. He is a different God or strange to them. The reason we need to make these videos is to combat the lies of these Israelite camps. Now, if you've been watching for a little while, and you watching YouTube and seeing some of the things that's discussed on YouTube, you're gonna notice the leadership of IUIC are making specific classes about the information that we are bringing forth to you. They realize that they are not getting questions from the people, but from the captains. How do we know? You start seeing the Deuteronomy 28 project after King Yohanan came up and gave y'all that wonderful class explaining to you how they are lying about Deuteronomy 28:68. So they have to reinforce the lie to get you to fall back asleep and under their spell. They keep emphasizing the carnal reading of Romans 9. Now, we sat there and we took you to John 6 and showed you that Christ said flesh was understanding. But they're not going to give that to you. They can tell you that, if you want to know what truth means, go to Psalms 119 and 142. Truth means the law. Every time you see truth in the Bible, it means the law. But they won't accept those spiritual words when Christ say them. Just like they wouldn't accept his word when he was alive. So now, they are making emphasis on the Sabbath, because a lot of people are asking questions. Well, does buy and sell mean going to the store, or is it talking about buying and selling doctrines? Because we gave you the precepts to show you. We gave you the precepts to show you the Most High say he don't want them teaching them carnal doctrines on the Sabbath. That's what treading the wine press means. Treading the wine press means preaching. Bringing in sheaves. Preaching. All that stuff means preaching. So now the people are starting to ask questions, primarily those captains. So they know if they lose those captains, they lose their congregation. All right? So that's why you're starting to see those classes pop up. They're trying to make it seem like it's coincidental that, they just wanted to bring that stuff up. But all that stuff are classes, recent classes that we've taught here at Elders of Israel. Okay? And it's causing problems with their doctrine, belief in their doctrine. The people starting to be converted. Now, we've mentioned before, there's a prophecy about the 10 plagues of the children of Israel coming out of Egypt. Now, that prophecy is talking about a specific time period. All the stuff in the Bible talking about the end times. So, those last 2 plagues are talking about now. One of the last 2 plagues is darkness. Darkness means ignorance in the Bible. And by the way, if you see those little words at the bottom of the screen, those are precepts. We generally give you 2, because the scriptures say you want to have 2 witnesses. So we generally give you 2 witnesses to let you know where to find what I'm saying, so you don't think I'm lying. We can't go and pull out every scripture and read every scripture because it'll take too long. All right? But darkness, you can find it in Micah 3 and 6. It says that the sun was going to go down on the prophets. Darkness means they ain't going to have any understanding. Just like now. Those camps don't have any understanding. And they're watching us and they're learning from us, just like you're learning. Primarily, our entire congregation, so to speak, are those camps, because they're learning something they've never been taught before. So the 9th plague is darkness. So they're learning that the stuff that we're bringing out, they're ignorant to it. The last plague, the Most High said he is going to kill the firstborn of Egypt. Egypt is the doctrine of captivity. You can find Egypt in Exodus 20 and 2. It'll tell you what Egypt is. Captivity. The doctrine of captivity. That's what Egypt is. Okay? He said he's going to kill the firstborn of Egypt. Who's the firstborn of that carnal doctrine? They've been there the longest. Those are the captains and some of the deacons. They're the ones who are asking questions because they see this. And the leadership doesn't have an answer for it. They're going to be killed. Kill spiritually means converted. Romans 6 is going to explain to you what kill means. It means to convert. When somebody is killed, they convert. The Most High is going to convert the firstborn of that doctrine of Egypt over to him. And they know when those captains start defecting, the people are going to defect with them. So they got a problem. That's why that class that you received from Elder Samuel about Caleb is extremely damaging to their doctrine. Because they said none of the Gentiles can get it. Only the northern kingdom can get it. And I'm about to show you right now what it said about Caleb. We're going to go to Genesis chapter 15 and verse 18. In the same day the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, Unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates. The Canaanites and the Kenizzites and the Cadmonites. Kenizzites is the nation that Caleb is from. I say again, Kenizzite is the nation that Caleb is from. So that class that Elder Samuel gave about Caleb has destroyed that lie that these people are telling you, that the Gentiles can't get the kingdom. Now you got the right to believe who you want. We are not telling anybody to believe what we say. All we're doing is reading it out of the Bible. Now you can either hear it or you can forbear it. If you love those gods, those men that you serve, and not the real God who's telling you that Caleb is a Kenizzite. He's a Canaanite. He was in the land of Canaan. Those people were in the land of Canaan whenever Abram came through. He's not an Israelite. So we're just going to build upon what Elder Samuel already told you. All right? So now, they're trying to reinforce this belief, this lie that they keep telling you, that the northern kingdom of Israel are the strangers that God is talking about. Whenever you see a stranger, it's talking about the northern kingdom because it happened after the split. They must make you believe in that lie. Because if you find out that the strangers are actually people who are not Israelites, their doctrine falls apart. That means the Most High is going to redeem all people, just like Christ said. So let's see if we can prove the lie. Right? Because that's what Deacon Eythan did in that class that he had. He kept emphasizing the strangers are the northern kingdom. And he went all of these different precepts. And another thing here, whenever you precepting, if you trying to take a whole verse and try and say the whole verse mean one thing, and it's got all these different words in it that means different things, all you're doing is confusing the people. You got to break down the words so that the people know what the words mean. You can't take 3 scriptures, put them together and say, hey, that's what this means. You got to break the words down because the words mean something differently spiritually than they do carnally. So all that sleight of hand y'all doing, it ain't working no more. These people that started watching and starting to get some understanding. So that little trick ain't gonna work no more. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make you understand, first and foremost, that there are different doctrines. There's the carnal doctrine, which is all of the laws and all of the practices and rituals that Moses taught. And then there's the spiritual, which is all of the stuff that Christ taught. Now, if you go to Hebrews 7, Hebrews 7 is going to explain to you the difference between the order of Aaron and the order of Melchizedek. We're under the order of Melchizedek. We are no longer under the carnal law. We're under the spiritual law. They're teaching the carnal law to you. They're saying the only thing that changed was the sacrificial law. That's not correct. The entire interpretation of the Bible that is carnal was done away with. And the new spiritual interpretation of the law was brought in through Christ. And we're about to read it right now. Hebrews chapter 7, verse 11. If therefore perfection were by the Levitical priesthood, that's the order of Aaron, where they went and they set up all those rituals in the tabernacle and all that other stuff. We don't do that stuff anymore. All right. The Most High is no longer accepting those carnal offerings like Passover, new moons, tabernacles, Feast of Tabernacles. He doesn't accept that anymore because all of those are carnal rituals. They have a different interpretation spiritually. That Passover lamb is you. You're the lamb. We're the lambs of his pasture, the sheep of his pasture. It's talking about something else. Y'all sitting up in there killing all these lambs, eating good and getting drunk and dancing the night away when the Most High ain't even talking about that. He ain't accepting your offering. He already said he wasn't going to do it. So now let's read it again. If therefore perfection were by the Levitical priesthood, for under it people received the law. He's talking about the carnal law. What further need was there that another priest should rise after the order of Melchizedek. That's the spiritual priest, Christ. And not be called after the order of Aaron. We are not following that carnal law no more. They keep saying, where it say that you don't have to do the carnal law? I'm reading it. You don't have to do that carnal law. You have to find out what it means spiritually. That's what we're teaching. Verse 12. For the priesthood being changed, it changed from carnal, which is physical, to spiritual, which is mental. That's the difference. You're no longer required to do the physical rituals. You have to do the mental rituals. And y'all don't know how to do that because they are not teaching it. But you have to understand it in order to get the kingdom, because that's the covenant. That's what we're teaching. For the priesthood being changed, there is of necessity a change also of the law. The law has been changed, and y'all are not being taught the new law. Y'all being taught what Moses said. Y'all are not being taught what Christ said. He teaches the parables. His doctrine is the parables. We are not under Aaron anymore. We're under Melchizedek, Christ. I hope y'all understand that. So now, you cannot receive understanding from the letter or the carnal teachings. All right? You have to learn the spiritual. All right. So before we get started here, we're going to start the class with a particular verse. We're going to Ezekiel chapter 47. And we're going to start at verse 22. Listen closely, because we're going to come back to it. And it shall come to pass that ye shall divide it by lot for an inheritance unto you, and to the strangers that sojourn among you, which shall beget children among you, and shall be unto you as born in the country among the children of Israel. Born, like born again. All right. They shall have inheritance with you among the tribes of Israel. So he's telling them they're going to have equal inheritance. And it shall come to pass that in what tribe the stranger sojourneth, there shall ye give him his inheritance, saith the Lord. All right, so he's telling you, them strangers going to get equal inheritance. But are they talking about the northern kingdom, or are they talking about actual Gentiles? Let's find out. Now they're saying that that particular scripture is talking about the northern kingdom. Now if that is proven to be a lie, their doctrine is destroyed. And they are proven to be liars. That means Jew nor Greek is actually talking about the Greeks. If you prove that the strangers is not just talking about northern kingdom, that means the Jew nor Greek verse is actually talking about Greeks, not some Israelite that was scattered to Greece. All right? Because even though the Bible say don't made it with a book, they always go to all them dictionaries, Bible dictionaries, all these history books and all that other stuff. The Most High say what I got to say is in the book. Use the book to get the understanding. Don't go outside. He said none shall want her mate. All right? But notice they always break that law in order to tell their lie. But we're going to make you understand that. We don't care one way or another about their doctrine. We care that the Most High gave the order. And Ezekiel 3 says we must give warning. We must warn the people by telling them the men lying. Now at the end of the day, we can't force you to do nothing, but we have to tell you. That's what it say. We're the watchmen. We have to tell you when these men lying. If we don't warn these people that's following the lies of the Pharisees, we're going to be held responsible for it. That's why we're doing what we're doing. All right, let's give you the understanding of what stranger talking about. Not the dictionary of understanding of what stranger is, or from a history book like they always do, but according to Isaiah 34:16, which the Most High said, get the understanding. We start with the word strange. So let's see what strange means. I'm going to start reading these verses off for you. Again, those precepts going to be at the bottom. Go back, write them down as you see them come up. We're going to start at Genesis chapter 35, verse 1. And God said unto Jacob, Arise, go up to Bethel and dwell there, and make there an altar unto God that appeared unto thee when thou fleddest from the face of Esau thy brother. Then Jacob said unto his household and to all that were with him, Put away the strange gods that are among you, and be clean, and change your garments. So when he's talking about strange gods, he's talking about following a different God. So that strange is talking about something different than what the Most High approves of. All right, we're going to go to Numbers. Numbers chapter 3. Now this talking about Aaron's son. Those sons who got in trouble. The Most High had to take them out. Numbers chapter 3, verse 3. These are the names of the sons of Aaron, the priests, which were anointed, whom he consecrated to minister in the priest's office. And Nadab and Abihu died before the Lord when they offered strange fire before the Lord in the wilderness of Sinai, and they had no children. And Eleazar and Ithamar ministered in the priest's office in the sight of Aaron their father. So the Most High took them out because they had strange fire. Fire is the word. They were teaching a different doctrine. So the Most High took them out. So when you see strange, you starting to see the Most High seeing strange meaning another God. Y'all see that? Deuteronomy chapter 32. We're going to start at verse 15. But Jeshurun waxed fat. Jeshurun, that's Israel. And kicked. Thou art waxen fat. Thou art grown thick. Thou art covered with fatness. When he forsook God, which made him, and lightly esteemed the rock is Christ, of his salvation, they provoked him to jealousy with strange gods. With abominations provoked they him to anger. They sacrificed unto devils, not to God, to gods whom they knew not, to new gods that came newly up, whom your fathers feared not. When it's talking about strange, it's talking about strange gods. Strange is used in the context of gods in the Bible. Gods are used in the context of a different doctrine or people that are worshipped other than the Most High in the Bible. Strange is an adjective that describes something, and A stranger is a person that fits the description of being strange. Remember that the Bible is the source of the context that we're talking about. A stranger is a person who follows a different God than the God of Israel. Now, let's get some precepts for stranger. Note, we are focusing on specific words to get hidden wisdom Paul wrote about in 2 Corinthians 2. This is the hidden wisdom. You got to go through a process to get this understanding. Now, the lie that's being taught depends on you believing that the New Testament is speaking about strangers after Israel is scattered. So that's what they're saying. They say after Israel was scattered, strangers became only the northern kingdom. That's who the strangers are. So it's very important that we focus on proving our point by providing you with scriptures prior to the split between Judah and Israel that happened after King Solomon died. Every precept you are about to see is prior to the separation of the kingdom of Israel. The One West doctrine is a lie, and it is dangerous. The Most High is tearing down the stronghold that has caused the people to err with these classes you are watching. All right, we're going to start off with Abraham. We're going to Genesis chapter 17. We're going to start at verse 10. This is my covenant which ye shall keep between me and you and thy seed. Seed is the word. Look at the precepts below. After thee. Seed is talking about the word spiritually. Every man-child among you shall be circumcised. We getting ready to let you know what circumcised means. All right. And ye shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a token, example. Not the real thing, an example though. A representation. A token of the covenant betwixt me and you. And he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you, every man-child in your generation. He that is born in the house or brought with money of any stranger. So he's saying the people born in his house and the strangers bought with money. You know, when he's talking about buying and selling, he's talking about buying and doctrine. So he's talking about people converted. All right, look at the precepts. Which is not of thy seed. The seed is the word. So people who are following a different doctrine that Abraham converts, that's the seed. He gonna convert them to his seed. He that is born in thy house, that's the people he converts, and that is bought with thy money, the money is his doctrine. So the doctrine converts the people who are not known to follow his doctrine. Must needs be circumcised. Circumcised mean converted. And my covenant shall be on your flesh for an everlasting covenant. All right. So now we're going to drop down to verse 24. And Abram was 90 years old and 9 when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. And Ishmael his son was 13 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. In the self same day was Abraham circumcised, and Ishmael his son, and all the men of his house born in his house and brought with money of the strangers. So he's talking about all the people in his house and all the strangers that he converted were circumcised with him. Listen again. If a man is 99 years old, he is not capable of maintaining control of a knife. It's not talking about him removing the foreskin of other men's private parts. It is talking about him educating them and converting them in his doctrine. So we got to prove. You already seen the precepts below saying that seed is the word. That's Luke 8 and 11 and 1 Peter 1:23. The seed is the word. Let's go to circumcised so you can see it's talking about educating somebody in the doctrine. First, we're going to go to Deuteronomy chapter 10. We're going to start at verse 16. Circumcise, therefore, the foreskin of your heart. The heart is the mind. Go to Matthew 15:19. The heart is the mind, okay? He's saying circumcise your mind, not your private parts. Your mind. All right? Circumcise, therefore, the foreskin of your heart, and be no more stiff-necked, stubborn. Okay? If you circumcise your private parts, that's got nothing to do with you being stubborn. Once a person gets circumcised, that don't change their stubbornness. It has nothing to do with that. It's talking about being taught something new, being educated. We're going to go to Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 6. And the Lord thy God will circumcise thine heart. Again, the heart is the mind. And the heart of thy seed is the word, to love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, mind, and with all thy soul, and thou mayest live, that thou mayest live. You got to be converted so you can live. If you don't convert, you're not gonna live. So that's what Abram was doing. He was circumcising his house. He was teaching them the doctrine. All right, that's what that means. So let's go to 29, Deuteronomy 29, so you can get some understanding of this word. We're gonna start at verse 10. Listen very closely, because he's going to tell you who's all out here that Moses is talking to, so you can get the understanding of what we're talking about. You stand this day, all of you, before the Lord your God, your captains of your tribes, your elders, and your officers, with all the men of Israel, your little ones, your wives, and thy stranger. So it's talking about all the men of Israel, your little ones, your wives, and thy stranger. This is prior to the split. It's talking about the strangers that left out of Egypt. The word stranger is talking about them. Now look and see what the Most High does to these strangers. Keep reading here. And thy stranger that is in thy camp, from the hewer of wood unto the drawer of water, that thou mayest enter into covenant. He just said those strangers enter into covenant. That means he did it before. Y'all starting to get the lie now? Y'all see it? If the Most High accepted them people before and he said he changed not, that means they still get it. But he gonna explain it to you. You gonna see it clearly here in a second. That thou should enter into covenant with the Lord thy God, and into his oath. The strangers entering into this oath, which the Lord thy God maketh with thee this day, that he may establish thee, to include those strangers, that he may establish thee today for a people unto himself. He said them strangers gonna be his people too. and that he may be unto thee a God, as he has said unto thee, and as he has sworn unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. He's saying those strangers qualify as the seed, word, followers of that doctrine, the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Because they tell you, look here, Esau, he ain't of Jacob. He said that he go save the people, the Israelites, who are of the Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So he ain't talking about those Edomites, but he's saying right there that all them people standing out there qualify as Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob's children, because children mean follower spiritually. Neither with you only do I make this covenant and this oath. Now he's telling you, this is an oath the Most High made. I don't care what any bishop, general, preacher, or anybody else who's a human being says. They don't overrule what God says. So if God says he's going to do it, they can't disannul it because they have no power. They're just a man. Now you can listen to them if you want and believe the lie, but God said this. And if they say God is lying, that's blasphemy of the Holy Ghost, because we're reading it and they can't repent. That's what Christ said, because they're lying. So if you want to follow those men that the Most High is going to kill, he's going to destroy those men for all these people, all these families they destroyed. They're going to pay for it because they took the people's hope and make the people follow them and not God. The Most High is going to kill those men. And every single one of you that follows their lie, he's going to kill you too. Let's keep reading. He says, verse 14, neither with you only do I make this covenant and this oath, but with him that standeth here with us this day before the Lord our God, and also with him that is not here with us this day. He talking about them people in the future. Now he just said he don't care who it is. If they make that oath, he gonna accept them. If they take that spiritual covenant, not the ones just out there with him and with Moses, but the ones who ain't there. None of us was there in that day. None of the strangers of the day was there in that day. And he's saying he's going to accept them, regardless of whether Deacon Eythan or Bishop Nathaniel or any of these other liars who are telling lies on the Most High. Now you see, if a stranger makes the oath, because he separated them. He said the men of Israel, and then he said the strangers. This is before the split. So that means the actual stranger got this oath. And he said the ones that were not there, they get it too, if they follow the oath. There you have it. You have to teach the stranger. I don't care that Deacon Eythan doesn't like it and that he thinks his God's doctrine is better than the God of heaven. The Most High said you have to teach him. Now, Deacon stated that the elect of the strangers or Gentiles only would be redeemed. And he proved it with Isaiah 45:4 to show you that Israel is his elect. So he's telling you, I'm telling you that only Israelites, the elect, are going to get the kingdom. That is a very convincing precept that he brought to you. The Most High states directly that Israel is his elect. Now, if you have been watching us for a couple of minutes, you know I'm about to crush this foolish lie they are telling to deceive you with. The first thing that came to my mind when he pulled that scripture was anointed. Now, why was that the first thing that came to my mind? Because anointed means something real special in Hebrew. Now, I'll admit, I don't know a lot of Hebrew words, and the Bible doesn't require you to know Hebrew in order to be redeemed. But someone anointed is one of the 144,000. Guess what? The Hebrew word for anointed is Messiah. And the Most High mentions his Messiah just above the precept that Eythan pulled. His name is Cyrus, and he is a well-known Persian king. Persians are strangers. I can't for the life of me figure out why he skipped past this precept. Let's read why he did it. We're going to go to Isaiah chapter 44, and we're going to start at verse 28. That saith of Cyrus, this is the Most High talking through Isaiah, that saith of Cyrus, he is my shepherd. He calling Cyrus his shepherd. And shall perform all my pleasure, even saying to Jerusalem, thou shalt be built, and to the temple thy foundation shall be laid. Then he goes to chapter 45, the part that he ain't want y'all to see. Thus saith the Lord to his anointed. Anointed means somebody that got the word. Anointed in Hebrew is Messiah. Look it up. I might be lying. Anointed means Messiah. To his anointed, to Cyrus, whose right hand I have holden. He letting you know Cyrus is his elect too. He ain't read that part, did he? You see the lie? These men, they focus in on one or two scriptures, and they play that sleight of hand with you so you don't see what the Most High is saying. He called that Persian his anointed. That's 144,000 that they love to talk about so, which none of them are it. Whose right hand I have holden, to subdue nations before him. And I will loose the lion, and I will loose the loins of kings to open before him. Loins is their mind. The two-leaved gates, and the gates shall not be shut. Gates are prophets. And I will go before thee and make the crooked places straight. So he's going to have Cyrus making sure his doctrine get out. And I will break in pieces the gates of brass. Brass is a lower level prophet who ain't got no understanding. A gate of brass, he don't know nothing. Kind of like them people who trying to lie to you. And cut in sunder the bars of iron. Iron is a lesser metal. It ain't gold and it ain't silver. He telling you something. That's who teaching y'all. And I will give thee the treasures of darkness, the hidden riches of secret places. He gonna give him some understanding. And that thou mayest know that I, the Lord, which call thee by thy name, am the God of Israel. For Jacob my servant's sake, and Israel my elect. He making a difference between Jacob and Israel. Jacob ain't gonna get it. Israel gonna get it. I have even called thee by thy name, and have surnamed thee, though thou hast not known me. He didn't know the Most High from his birth, but he learned of the Most High. He learned the doctrine. The name is the word. Revelation 19:13. He gave Cyrus the word. That's right. That's his elect, his anointed, his Messiah. They ain't telling you that. Cyrus, the Messiah. Look it up for yourself. Why they lying? They know Cyrus anointed. But they say, well, only the Israelites. He's a Persian king. The only way they can get out of that is they got to say, well, he actually is an Israelite. 2 precepts, brother. Give me 2 witnesses and I'll believe you. None of that, well, he might have been scattered, Give me 2 witnesses, 2 precepts where the Most High said that Cyrus is scattered. You can't, because it's not there. And if it's not there, that means you're lying. So, maybe he's the only one that the Most High gave that level of honor to. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. Let's go to Ezra. So you can see where these people lie. They put their agenda on you and they have you sinning against the Most High. Then you get to the end. You waiting for the well done, and the Most High Christ is telling you to depart from him. You don't know why. Because you following liars. Let's talk about Artaxerxes. That's another Persian king. Artaxerxes, king of kings. Didn't the Most High just call Cyrus his anointed Messiah, just like he called Christ? And he just called Artaxerxes a Persian king of kings. Artaxerxes, king of kings, unto Ezra the priest, a scribe of the law of God of heaven, perfect peace. And at such a time I make a decree that all they of the people of Israel and of his priests, the Levites, in my realm, which are minded of their own free will to go up to Jerusalem, go with thee. He called Artaxerxes in the Bible King of Kings, just like he called Christ King of Kings. Maybe that's the only place you can see the Most High giving these strangers these high honors. Because if he calling them that, he letting you know they getting the kingdom. Let's go in the Apocrypha to Baal and the dragon. All right, we're going to start at verse 27. It's talking about Darius under Daniel. Now Darius was believing in this God by the name of Baal. And y'all gonna figure out when the Most High talking about these gods, he prophesying about these gods y'all serving. He just calling some of the gods, he calling Baal. Some of the gods he calling Ashtoreth. Y'all thinking he talking about statues. He talking about men. Y'all don't understand it because y'all carnal. But the Baal he talking about is a man. Alright. So Daniel went and he destroyed Baal, the dragon, with fire. Fire is the word. Alright. Y'all gonna figure it out. We're gonna start at verse 27 and see what they said about this guy Darius. Then Daniel took pitch and fat and hair and did seethe them together. Jesus. He is telling you. That's the word. And made lumps thereof. This he put in the dragon's mouth. So he telling you the dragon is a man. He put it in his mouth. He burning up his doctrine, the dragon's doctrine. He put it in the dragon's mouth, and so the dragon burst in sunder. Whenever that word meets the word of that dragon, whoever that preacher, pastor, bishop, deacon, whoever he is, he gonna burst in sunder. And Daniel said, Lo, these are the gods ye worship. He got a small G on there. He talking about these men who leading these Israelite camps. That's who he talking about. I told you, they're Baal. Baal is just one dragon. Let me read that again. Lo, these are the gods ye worship. He talking about those men. Baal is what he's calling those wicked men who teaching these carnal doctrines out here and got y'all following their foolishness. But let's get on to what they say about old Darius here. When they of Babylon heard that, they took great indignation and conspired against the king, saying, the king is become a Jew. He telling you, Darius converted. That's what he telling you. He converted Darius. Darius believed in the Most High. He calls Darius a Jew, and he has destroyed Baal. He has slain the dragon and put the priest to death. That's right. He was following the Most High and not them gods that was under him, whoever those priests were that was telling all those lies. He was following Daniel's doctrine. That's what it's telling you. Maybe I'm making it up. Let's go to Daniel, so we can hear something else about it. Daniel, chapter 6, verse 1. Darius believed in the Most High. Y'all about to find that out right now. All them Persian kings was converted to the Most High. They was following the Most High God's doctrine. Daniel, chapter 6, verse 1. It pleased Darius, that's the same guy we just read about, to set over the kingdom 120 princes, which should be over the whole kingdom. And over these three presidents, of whom Daniel was the first, that the prince might give accounts unto them, and the king should have no damage. Then this Daniel was preferred above the presidents and the princes, because an excellent spirit is the word, was in him, and the king thought to set him over the whole realm. The number one doctrine in Darius' realm was the Most High God's doctrine. Daniel is a prophet. They just calling him president in this script, but it's telling you Darius was following God's laws. He converted those Persians. Persians are strangers. Y'all see that? Once you able to present this information, all those lies that those guys tell, you can see it. You cannot follow a man that's a liar. And that man lied to y'all a couple of weeks ago. And I'm showing you exactly where he lied. Everything I'm telling you, these are strangers that the Most High is accepting their offering. Y'all see this? Let's go back to Ezekiel 47, verse 22. So you know what these strangers are now. And it shall come to pass that ye shall divide it by lot for an inheritance unto you, and to the stranger, those strangers like Ahasuerus, Artaxerxes, like Darius, all of those men, Cyrus, they're strangers. they're strangers. He calls Cyrus the Messiah. They're strangers. And it shall come to pass that ye shall divide it by lot for an inheritance unto you and to the stranger that sojourn among you. So the people of today, those strangers who the Most High said, those who were there with him and those that were not there with him, which is the people of today. They were not out there in the wilderness when Moses told them about that oath. He's saying they can make that oath, which shall beget children among you. So they gonna go and they gonna start teaching the Most High's inheritance, which is the word, and they're gonna beget children. People gonna start following them because of the word that they teach. And they shall be unto you as born in the country among the children of Israel. They're going to be Israelites. The Most High going to give them the status of Israel. That's what he's saying. They shall have inheritance with you among the tribes of Israel. He's saying they're going to have equal inheritance. That's what he just said. And it shall come to pass that in the tribe that the soldier sojourneth, whatever the tribe is of that prophet that teach him, his congregation, that's the tribe he gonna be in, whatever that congregation is. There shall ye give him his inheritance, which is gonna be that word, saith the Lord. His inheritance, he gonna get the word, and the Most High, he gonna convert, and the Most High is going to accept his offering. That's what it's saying. Now you see that the Most High is going to give the strangers equal inheritance with the Israelites. He said that they would be called by his name in Amos 9. Go to Amos 9, 11 and 12. You're going to see. He said they're going to have his name. The name is the word. The word is the doctrine. They're going to get the word. The name is the word. Revelation 19 and 13. Telling you, his name is the word of God. When it's talking about names, it's talking about the word. They will understand the word just like Cyrus and Darius and Artaxerxes. When the Most High is talking about the name, he's talking about the doctrine. Esau has a name. He's got a doctrine. Jacob has a name. He's got a carnal doctrine, Moses' doctrine. And Israel has a name. That's a spiritual doctrine. All of those are doctrines. When he's talking about names, he's talking about doctrines. Why are we doing this, you might ask? Is it because we love white people and think they are special and that we have low self-worth and are eager to worship our white masters? No, that has nothing to do with what we are teaching. We are teaching this because the Most High gave us straight commandments to follow through Jesus the Christ. He said we needed to understand the doctrine and explain it to all creatures. He said to fear him and follow his law and not the law of lying men. No man can overrule a covenant that the Most High establishes, like he did in Deuteronomy 29. If you try, you will be punished accordingly. I hope you have enjoyed this class about the stranger and can now see what the Most High is talking about when he's talking about strangers. And with that, I bid you shalom.